Hi guys, welcome back to Tech Adventures with me, Christopher Charlton. Today we're going to be looking at my tool Seeker, which has finally gotten to what I hope to be one of its latter versions. It is now version 8, which it has had a lot of work of late. Pretty much it was being held up by Cdispil because they work very, very similar under the hood. And now I will happily explain that and go into details on my Patreon. There will be videos breaking the tools down and how they work, and plus you can get access to them and support me in building future tools that are not owned by any specific studio and can be passed around between people. So let's dig into it. So today is Seeker, and the idea of Seeker is to be a one-stop click keyer. It's nearly there. At the moment it's primarily for edge work. I will be extending the tool shortly, but at the moment it's primarily for edge work. It doesn't have a core key, but core keys are pretty easy to make, to be fair. But there is something I want to build which will extend the current functionality of it, hopefully, to be able to do a one-click key, and maybe one or two masks for areas that you need additional edge work in, like hair, for example. So with that, let's get into it. So first off, what we need to do is, we're using the internal key first, so I haven't got the external key ticked on. We'll have a look at that in a moment. I'll set it to RGB, sorry. So there's a few different output types you can do. You can actually have various different kinds of outputs, so there's lots of choice with this tool. You can do RGB or alpha. I would recommend RGB, and I would recommend using the internal keyer for this tool, but I'll show you some cool things you can do without that. Alright, so let's start it from neutral. So we're going to go in and use our key, and we're going to go in and we're just going to pick one value. That's it. That's all we need to do. That's the theory of this anyway. That's the idea behind it. So we've got our background piping into our background. We've got our plate piping into our plate. We have external key. We don't need that necessarily for this step. So we plug them in, and there we go. Job's done, hopefully. Now I've put these onto very unforgiving backgrounds. So the color wheel, due to its brightness and saturation, is a fairly unforgiving one. Plus the dark areas can really illuminate some problem regions. Now this, at the moment, as I was saying before, it is more an edge work tool at the moment, so it is meant more for your finer areas like your hairs and the glasses on our plate. Should we look? There's the plate. There's our glasses work. Now you can see it's not exactly coming through all the way, but then that is very dependent on the background itself and the values that are coming through on that. But you can see even this light hair is being captured coming through. And in these regions, we're even getting the grain coming through. So I haven't degrained this plate. I would personally recommend doing that, but that's up to you guys. I'm just showing you how much finesse the tool has, so that you can, make that choice on your own front. But there's how much hair is actually coming through with this tool. So you normally can't kind of see those levels of detail, but it's seeing them quite clearly. So it's doing a pretty good job, and it's not giving a weird kind of edge to it as it's going over the black there. plus our defo areas. So it's doing a pretty good job of integrating that. There is a lot of, you know, graininess in this region, as is. So I feel I'm pretty happy with the end result personally. Anyway, plus the hairs on his chinny chin chin. Yeah, it's doing a pretty good job of them. So there's it in one background, so we'll compare it against another background, which is the color bars, which is also a fairly unforgiving one. You can see it's adapting a little bit better in the color bars due to the values that are coming through from the background. But as I said, this is an edge work tool, so you need to be mindful of that, because the green that is in the plate here, so this is the plate, is actually being pulled out in these regions as well. Now that may be desired, it may not be desired, so you just need to be mindful of it will affect any and all areas that have the color that you picked. You can see the hair's really responding quite nicely. It's letting the background colors come through quite nicely. And you're getting these lovely little wisps up here that you normally would struggle to try and get with a lot of keys. So yeah, it's coming through quite nicely and it's integrating quite nicely. Now the grain in this region does actually become problematic because the grain in there, you know, there's dark green values, and if we look at the alpha on our output, you will see that there is some holes in there. So it will pick up grain. I just need to be very clear on that. You can see the grain that it's seeing through, and it's also picking up this the shadow that's on the green screen, which is actually pretty fine. Because like if you look at the green screen, it is a little bit hard to maybe visibly read it on here. But if we look at our graph over here, you can see there's a darker area across the left hand side, and it comes up brighter. And as we look at our result, you can see it's actually keeping that same dark patch as it's coming over the background. So there's the background, and there is our plate over the top. So you can see it's darkening this region, only marginally, but that may be enough. Now you can try and do a grading of the plate to try and remove that, but as you can see, it is affecting this region. So you just have to be mindful of how you approach this stuff. I would personally suggest that you just really reduce this down just to the edge work side of things. We'll look at it a few more. So again, there's the hairs on the chin, which have come up really nice in this one because the values hasn't proven even slightly problematic there at all. Whereas on the other one, it was seeming like they are coming through much darker than you'd expect. But, you know, we're not doing light wrap, this is just straight up doing the key edge, so you might want to deal with that with another edge tool on top. But, you know, that isn't the idea of this tool. It's meant to do, you know, as much work for you as possible with one click, which I think it does a pretty good job of compared to other tools. So we'll look at another background. So here's our famous checkerboard, which is terrible for actually checking work against, to be honest, but we'll look at it nonetheless. Ooh, there we go, a little bit of delay there. You can see it's doing a pretty good job of just plopping it on top. And if we look at our luminance value, you can see like that shadowing coming in. So we can see that little bit of luminance was kicking in. And then we'll try it over a constant. just as a bit better kind of situation. I'll show why I've chosen these values in a moment, but for the moment we'll just buff this to a solid red, which is always, you know, used very regularly for QCing with Roto, and you can just see that it's doing a really nice job of culling out the right bits of information and with the right levels of intensity. And so it does a pretty good job of edge work. I'll move that back to that value. And now we'll have a quick look with it with the external keyer. So we'll turn that on now. Now again, same as the dispel, C dispel, you can do RGB or alpha. Plus you get a whole bunch more different outputs. You can, you know, easily swap between your background and plate. It also makes it easier for accessing further down the pipeline should you need to. Edge work obviously is the edge work, so pretty much what you see directly in the comp at this stage. That should be changing in future. A dispel as well, just to make your life a bit easier if you don't want to have the dispel node as well. This makes it just that little bit easier. It's all about making this as fast and as fluid as possible. So we're going to look at the external key. In the external key, we've got 3 different keys here. Prime out from the C dispel tutorial with its alpha, same hue correct I believe, and we've also got a Luma key, which is the same Luma key, or close to it anyway. So we'll start with our first one, and we'll change this background to we'll change it to the color by, oh no, here we go, leave it on that. So because this one is actually selecting the color in here, oh, it's the same as the keyer too, sorry, as the dispel. If you are using the normal one, you can pick any color. You don't have to be discriminate about what the color is. So you can just pick their face, and now you have a comp based on that being the keyed out value. Same as if you picked the shirt color. Now you have a comp based on the shirt color, but that blue is not coming through many spots, so hence why that looks the way it does. But yeah, it does some. It's got some versatility, quite a lot of it too. It's very nice on that front. So with the external key, as I was saying, because it's doing the face region, we're getting that nice kind of effect going on, even though it's a little bit rough. But if we switch this to the alpha version of that, you know, you can kind of mess around with these a bit and get some interesting effects. So let's change to the hue version of this, which is an RGB one, which is doing a very similar job, but is a little bit nicer in how it handles the data. So switch, we'll go to 2, well 1 now, sorry. There we go, we get this really nice looking effect. Now our alpha won't do anything because it's only affecting the RGB, but we get this nice kind of Photoshoppy effect, if you will. So you can use it in some interesting and creative ways. So yeah, I'll leave that to you guys to how you might want to implement this and utilize it, because yeah, I can see some cool ideas coming out from that. And then the last one, if we use the luminance key and we switch this to alpha, what we can do, if I move this actually to our constant, we can do cool color grading stuff with it, where you can actually get kind of filmic looks going on based on our background. So here I'm just pushing a fraction of blue in there, I'm pulling in black, so we go to black, so there's our plate, there's what it's pushing it to, so it's getting a nice, you know, dark black area now, and then we can just buff that up to a little bit of a blue tinge in those darks. So there's a plate, and there's where we end up. So you can get some really cool results of this. I'm personally very happy with the tool at the moment. I do want to improve it a little bit further because I want it to be able to do your hard edge and your soft, your ins and outs in your cores, if you will, and also allow you to kind of figure out where you want to put your edge work and where you don't want to put your edge work. But yeah, apart from that, I think that covers the tool for today. So check it out on Patreon. So this is my Patreon as well, just to spruik it all the way. So it's under Chris Charlton Tech Adventures. Yep, so there's the pricing and what you get for each one. And yeah, see you around.